Good morning, everyone. Just a reminder, my name is Diego. I'm the student OT who will be leading in session 3 today, and it's Mindfulness for Moms, Emotion-Focused Coping. And so, in this session, you will learn how mindfulness and mindfulness meditation can act as an effective emotion-focused coping strategy, or strategies, to manage the potential stress, anxiety, depression, and financial burden, or hardships of being a young single mother, promoting optimal performance in typical daily activities as a mom. Okay? And so if everyone could sign in on this check-in sheet, that would be great. Take one and pass it down for me, please.
My pleasure.
So pink. I have the extra one.
Oh, I can take it. That's for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you need to, you can use the desk. You don't have to use the wall.
Oh.
Yeah. It's okay to use one of the desks. It's fine. Take that from you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thank you guys for doing that for me. Just checking in on how you're feeling before the session. So before we get into the content for session 3, I do want to talk about what you guys did in session 2. So first off, does anyone have any questions about session 2? I know you guys had some homework to complete before too. No questions? Okay. That's okay. So secondly, I would like to go around and have everyone share one thing that they enjoyed about session 2. Are there any volunteers who would like to do it first?
I like the bracelet making.
Okay.
It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see how that's... yours is very colorful, so...
Yes.
It definitely looked like a fun time.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Two?
I like we had the chance to make the bracelets. Like the materials look very expensive on that day, so like without the session, I don't think I could afford making a bracelet for myself. So thank you.
Yeah. So you don't think it would have been something that you could do on your own?
Yeah. Like the time, busy time, and also financial burden too.
Yeah. It's good. Thank you for sharing.
It was nice to do something kind of like mindless. Like I know there was an intention behind it, but I feel like we planned that out ahead of time. So when we were just making the bracelets, like I felt like I could do something with no pressure on, which I feel like I haven't done since I had my baby. So
Yeah. So it was like a relaxing activity.
yeah, I hope today is just as relaxing.
I hope so too. We will find out. Thank you for sharing.
I also really enjoyed like doing a craft with other people because art sometimes can be like stressful if you like care too much about it. So it's nice to just do it in like a relaxed environment and not care too much about the product.
Yeah. So doing with other people was something that you think helped your engagement in the activity. Okay. Thank you all for sharing. We'll transition into talking about content for this session, but I do want to go over the goals that we've developed in the first session. Okay. So goals are learn adaptive coping strategies or techniques for managing stress and anxiety, practice adaptive coping strategies during each session's activities, which we will do today. integrate adaptive coping strategies in your daily lives, especially while caring for your babies and yourselves. It's very important. Scaffold adaptive coping strategies in subsequent sessions through reflection. And manage feelings of stress, anxiety, depression, fear, loneliness, helplessness, and shame in your daily lives by implementing adaptive coping strategies learned in group sessions. Okay, as I mentioned in the session, we're going to learn about mindfulness and mindfulness meditation, which will be an emotion-focused coping strategy that you guys can implement in your daily lives moving forward, hopefully. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is discuss what mindfulness actually is. Okay. So mindfulness has been broadly conceptualized as a state in which one is highly aware, okay, and purposefully focused on the reality of the present moment, accepting and acknowledging the present moment without getting caught up in the thoughts that are about the situation, and or not getting caught up in emotional reactions to the situation itself. Okay? So practically, clinicians who want to promote their own and their clients' mindfulness must teach their clients to listen attentively, okay, and non-judgmentally to what they think and feel. And advocates of mindfulness training use meditation, relaxation, and breathing to promote mindfulness itself. So mindfulness can be a state, so you can be in that state of paying attention to the moment, non-judgmentally, and just acknowledging thoughts, emotions that come to your mind. Or it can be a practice, so a mindfulness practice would be an activity that you engage in, like mindfulness meditation, that promotes that state of mindfulness. Okay? So I want to ask you guys a question now. What daily activities can you guys think of that may promote mindfulness? It doesn't have to be an activity that you do, but just ideas on what activities may promote mindfulness.
I think like maybe when I sing for my baby
Okay.
to help her going to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
something very mindful.
Yeah, I can see how that's, you're focusing on singing, just being present in the moment with your baby. I can see how that's mindfulness practice.
I would say maybe like cooking, because there's like different smells and like flavors, so it's like something that you might like focus on.
Yeah, there's a lot of like sensory aspects of cooking. Just focusing on those things. And sometimes just being present in that activity of cooking. I agree. Anyone else?
I feel like my bedtime routine that I do once my baby finally goes to sleep, because I usually when she goes to sleep for good, like I know I at least have a few hours, so I feel like that's like the only kind of quiet time I get. So just kind of like peacefully going about my night.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of like a bedtime, like before bed you get to wind down.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else? Would you like to share anything?
Yeah, just what Tara said. It's definitely like a bedtime routine as well is really important. Just like that quiet time before, quiet time we get before our baby like needs us, I guess. You know, late nights. Yeah, it can be hard to find those little moments.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you all for sharing. It can be hard to find time to do mindfulness, especially if you don't know what mindfulness is. You're not attuned to identifying when you actually can do that activity. But yeah, those are all great ideas. So I want to discuss now mindfulness meditation. So like I said, mindfulness can be a state or a practice. Mindfulness meditation is a practice that promotes the state of mindfulness meditation. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So mindfulness meditation is a mindfulness strategy used in a type of therapy called mindfulness-based stress reduction. And it's used as a self-regulation approach to stress reduction, okay, that approach to stress reduction and emotion management. Okay, so mindfulness meditation promotes mindfulness, but also promotes reducing stress and helping to manage your emotions as well. Okay. It's typically done for a minimum of 5 minutes, but it can be done up to hours. It requires practice to get used to, sitting and being present in the moment, non-judgmentally. But with practice, you can go up to as long as you would like, whatever time permits. So it's typically done for that amount of time, whenever time is available throughout your day, and wherever it is quiet and comfortable to promote focus. So typically meditation is done in a quiet environment without distractions. Okay. And so there's 2 different types of mindfulness meditation that I will talk about in this session. If you guys are interested in this type of coping strategy, you can search up mindfulness-based stress reduction, and there's many other types that you can engage in. Okay, so the first type is focused attention meditation, and the other type is open monitoring meditation. Have any of you heard of those 2 types of meditation? Okay. So focused attention meditation is, it involves focusing one's attention on a chosen object or event. So an object could be like you light a candle and you focus on that. Or an event could be focusing on your breathing, which we will be doing focused attention meditation for our activity. And the event that you will focus on will be your breathing. Okay. And you continuously monitor your focus on that object or event to avoid your mind wandering. Okay. So you're focusing on that particular object or event to prevent, your mind wandering to different thoughts, feelings, body sensations that you may be experiencing in the moment. Okay. And when you do experience thoughts or feelings in that moment, you are to acknowledge them. You don't have to ignore them, but acknowledge them and accept them. But do so non-judgmentally and non-reactively. Okay? So it's fine if you get distracted, but the idea is to not react to those thoughts or feelings. And you're supposed to just accept them and then refocus your attention back to that object or event. Okay? And then open monitoring meditation is typically done. So the focused attention is typically done for beginners, which I assume all of you are. Do any of you have experience with meditation? Okay, so yeah, the focused attention is typically done first as sort of like it's easy to learn for beginners, and then you would transition to open monitoring meditation. So in this type of meditation, an individual focuses on their experiences of the present moment. Okay, so you are focusing on those thoughts, feelings, body sensations, or sensory stimuli, so sounds that you hear, stuff like that. But your goal is to just acknowledge them and be non-reactive to them. So you essentially focus on everything that's happening around you, but you're not reacting or you're not judging it. Okay, so you're not focusing on one thing, you're just allowing your thoughts, your feelings to flow. You're not reacting or judging those different in-the-moment experiences. Okay. So before we get into the activity, the main purpose of mindfulness meditation is to act as a coping strategy and to reduce stress and induce a state of relaxation, which can help manage feeling overwhelmed and the symptoms of anxiety, which may negatively affect your ability to be a mom. Mindfulness may also help all of you acknowledge emotions experienced in the moment allowing you to intervene with coping strategies in real time as required. So mindfulness will help you to implement the other coping strategies that you may have learned or will learn in the future, and help you manage stress and anxiety. Okay? So just a question for all of you. Do you feel that, feelings of stress or anxiety have impacted your ability to be moms?
Yes.
Yeah. How has it impacted your ability to do so?
There's a lot of times that my baby cried without any reason, like the diaper was clean, she just ate, she just woke up from a nap, and she just started crying without, like, I didn't understand what happened, so I just freeze.
Yeah.
And then just like stood there, not knowing to do anything. Like I wanted to run away and scream, but I knew that she only had me, so I couldn't do anything.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I feel like similar. Like when I'm stressed and overwhelmed and my baby needs things, sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, like more things to do, and I feel like I'm not being that good of a mom, but I just can't like help sometimes because I'm just so stressed.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. You can see how that's maybe tricky to deal with.
Definitely like that spiraling for sure, like you get in like that negative mindset. So sometimes I just find myself like too like frozen, or I just like don't want to do anything because I'm like so down on myself because of the stresses and anxiety is overwhelming.
Yeah, I can see how that sort of takes over
Yeah.
your whole sort of ability to do other activities. Thank you for sharing.
I think some of the stress and worry sometimes keeps me up at night, so it impacts my sleep, and then maybe I'm not as alert or energetic during the day, and I find it also does affect my motivation to like do cleaning or cooking, because I've already spent time taking care of my baby, so just the energy from worrying sort of is misplaced, I guess.
Yeah, and energy, that's important to take care of your baby and yourself, and perform other activities that you like to do in your daily life. So thank you for sharing. I can see how energy is important and contributed to your ability to be a mom. Okay. So I'd like to transition into our activity now. It's going to be that focused attention meditation. So if everyone can set up their yoga mats and get in a comfortable position, and then we can begin. Attention meditation. Okay, so everyone's ready to begin? Beautiful. So first I want everyone to close their eyes and focus their gaze. Okay. Next I want you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth at a natural pace, whatever is natural to you. And begin to shift your attention to your breathing patterns. Okay. Focus on how the air feels to go in through your nostrils. And focus on how the air feels to come out of your mouth. And for the next 14 minutes, I want you to remember how you feel now and continue that feeling throughout that duration. And if you'd like to get into a more comfortable position, you're welcome to do so. I will now start the timer for 14 minutes. And remember, you may be distracted by thoughts, feelings, body sensations. Just acknowledge them and accept them. Refocus your attention back to your breathing. Okay?
scared me.
Sorry. I'm sorry if the timer scared you.
I kind of forgot where we were.
Okay. How's everyone doing?
I feel
Very
so bad.
mindful.
Good. I also did the activity as well.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good.
Nice.
Pretty good. Okay. We can discuss the activity as we are now, or we can sit back in the chairs. Whatever is most comfortable for you guys.
We'll just sit here.
Yeah, I don't mind sitting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, is it okay?
Let me double check. Let me double
Yeah,
check.
that's a good idea.
I was starting to fall asleep at the
REM,
I
yes.
think it's fine.
How was your dream?
Okay.
It was good. I actually was definitely, maybe I was asleep because I was having a dream. But I can't remember what it was. You know when that happens? Like, you know you had a dream, but you don't know what it was.
Yeah.
That was happening.
Good.
Hopefully it didn't snort.
You seem like you're pretty, pretty relaxed.
Into it. You were, yeah, good. That's the
Okay.
part.
All right. I would now like to talk about everyone's experience during the activity by asking you a few questions. And I forgot to mention this previously, but you do have one opportunity to pass in answering a question. If that's, if the question is something you're not comfortable with answering, or something along those lines. Okay. First question is, how would you describe your experience with the focused attention meditation today? Are there any volunteers who would like to begin?
Sure. I was trying to do, like what you said, like not getting distracted by how other parts of your body were feeling. So like my hair, when it was in the ponytail, I noticed myself kept getting distracted. So I moved it so it wasn't like a bump on my head. And then once I got rid of that kind of like stimulation, I found it a lot easier to just focus on my breathing. So I feel like if I were to do this in the future, I'd need to make sure I'm like in comfy clothes and like maybe have my hair down so that I could kind of set myself up to not have like body distractions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like your hair was distracting. A
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
Thanks for sharing. Who would like to go next?
I'll go. I found it challenging, but it was helpful to sort of practice how to stop a racing mind, because I felt that I would sort of drift and start thinking about what all the things I have to do later today, and then I was able to like stop that and just remind myself to be here instead.
Yeah, and that's the essence of mindfulness. You kind of just focus on the moment, and it is hard when you're beginning to do mindfulness meditation to not like get distracted by things. But like I said, people practice and they can do it for hours. So thank you for sharing.
I found it pretty difficult to focus on my breathing only because like there was some noise from the hall, and then there were like I was aware of people surrounding me too, so like I kind of like had my thoughts shift into that, like do I look good? Just like lying down, like do people look at me and stuff, but then I managed to shift my focus back to my breathing, so that was good.
Thank you for sharing. I can see how there was a couple noises. It was a little distracting.
Just for you.
Yeah. I also found it hard to like focus. Mindfulness has been something that doesn't like really work for me, but I appreciate that like we had an opportunity to try it. So instead of like just trying to like focus on my breathing, I actually focused on the leaves of the trees.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I have my eyes open like looking at it just because I've always done it as a kid and it just grounds me, so I did that instead to stop those racing thoughts, because that was me too. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I have to do with the baby? Wait, I'm here. This is mommy time. Yes.
I should try that so that I don't fall asleep. Keep my eyes open and look at something instead.
I don't blame you, girl. We have no sleep.
Yeah.
And it's hard knowing that our babies are just next door with the babysitter.
Yeah.
Like,
Worry.
is she doing okay?
Yeah.
That's another thing you can use mindfulness to. Let's say your baby is at the babysitter and you're worried about
Mhm.
acknowledging those thoughts, but not, judging them and reacting to them. And to what you said, yeah, still doing focused attention meditation, just the object, or like instead of using an event, you're using an object, or it could be an event because like you're watching the leaves move. So. But yeah, thank you for sharing. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. What were you thinking, feeling, or physically sensing during the meditation activity today? Tara, I know you mentioned your hair.
Oh, that's my sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, what were some other people thinking, feeling, sensing?
I was like fidgeting with my feet.
Okay.
So I think like maybe it's just like my body's like nervous system telling me like, oh, I'm like anxious. So like anxious, like moving, like even like me like touching my hair or like even like switching around and stuff. I've always been very fidgety. So it might correlate to like, oh, anxious about my baby like next door. Are they okay? All that stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was like holding my fingers, and I realized that I was a little bit sweat,
Okay.
even though like the room has a really nice temperature. So like Isabel, I guess I was kind of nervous too.
Yeah.
I was pretty calm.
So relaxed.
Yeah, just sleep deprived. I don't know.
Yeah.
I previously have done yoga, so I feel like that taught me how to kind of get like they usually finish the class with kind of. I guess maybe I lied. I guess that's kind of like mindfulness. So I have a bit of
Yeah.
exposure, but I've never kind of like thought of it explicitly like mindfulness. So I feel like that gave me experience, like kind of getting calm right away. Because yoga is a lot about following or like focusing on your breath.
Yes.
So maybe that's why I was able to find my zen.
Yeah. It did kind of sound like you were sleeping. But,
Yeah.
but that's good. That means you're relaxed. Obviously,
Yeah.
relaxed enough to fall asleep.
relaxed too fast.
You were very confident. Good for you. Good for you.
I've always been able to fall asleep anywhere, so maybe I would try this sitting up next time so that I'm not too comfortable.
Jealous. That's a strength.
And a weakness, though, I feel like.
Could be both.
Yeah.
Thank you, Issa, to Tara for sharing.
Yeah.
Zena, do you have any?
Yeah, at one point, I don't know if you guys heard, but my stomach was like rumbling, so I was kind of self-conscious. Yeah, I guess I'm hungry, so maybe next time I should eat before I do this, that way I'm not distracted by that.
Okay, yeah. Loki, I'm hungry. But yeah, I can see how that, could, you can focus your attention on yourself. Okay. And the final question, talking about our experience with mindfulness. What was it like to focus on your breathing as the event and to shift your focus back after you were distracted? What was that like?
It feels really new to me because before this I've never focused on my breathing because like I just take it for granted because breathing is kind of involuntary and it's always there. So it was definitely a new, refreshing experience for me.
I feel like at one point I feel like I was almost focusing maybe too much on my breathing. Maybe just because like other people have mentioned we are like aware that other people are around. Like at one point I was like, whoa, like, I just took like a really big sigh. Like, I didn't hear that. But I feel like that maybe wouldn't be the case if I was alone. Like you're not worried about like, oh, did anyone else hear that happen? So I feel like maybe that was just because we're trying it for the first time with other people.
Okay.
But I don't know. I feel like it is very grounding to just focus on your breathing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I'll add some more.
Yeah, okay.
I found it helpful to focus on, like, rather than the rhythm or the count, like the sensations, so like the temperature of the air, and then also like the feeling of like my chest moving up and down. So that sort of helped me.
Yeah. So like focusing on how it actually feels to breathe rather than, you know, other aspects.
For
sure. Sorry.
Oh no,
Go
it's
ahead.
okay. Thank you, Athena, for sharing. For me, it's like adapting. So like breathing. I have like a lot of allergies, so I was like, so I'm a mouth breather, so I was like, I was like mouth breathing. So I was like thinking about, oh wow, it's like you kind of have to adapt these like grounding exercises to like what works for you. So like for me, like like object focusing and whatnot. And I think it's like a good opportunity to practice these skills. And I think like getting distracted and bringing your mind back to like a place of focus and mindfulness is a really hard skill to have. So it can help us not only here, but like I feel like outside in the real world with like our child, like if we get super stressed and stuff, like we can just try to be mindful in the moment, kind of use that as our coping strategies.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it is hard to like just, you know, even if you're able to pay attention in the moment, it's hard to not judge, you know, what's going on around you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see what you're saying. Thank you for sharing information with the group. Okay. So we've talked about everyone's experience with the activity. Now I want to transition to exploring people's opinions about the activity itself. So more sort of what were your personal opinions on the focused attention meditation, and then comparing those opinions to maybe what other people thought as well. Okay, so the first question I'd like to ask is, what were your personal opinions regarding the focused attention meditation activity?
I can start. I found it really helpful, and I do feel like much calmer coming out of that as well. Like that's just like peaceful. But while it was happening, sometimes I was also like self-conscious of like, oh, did I just swallow really loud? Or, so it sounds like other people have had similar like self-conscious sort of feelings. So that kind of made it difficult in this setting. But maybe at home that wouldn't be something I'm doing it by myself.
Yeah, so you think like if you were alone, it would be maybe you'd be less self-conscious. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that information. Does anyone else feel in a similar way?
Yeah.
Or similar opinions as to
I
you?
think I agree with Athena, and I think like I can use this practice before my bedtime because like after I put my baby into sleep, I still have a lot of thoughts coming through my mind, and then it takes me like hours to finally fall asleep. So this might help, just stop those thoughts and focus on my breathing and finally fall asleep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you think you could use it before bed to help?
Yeah, I think so.
I think the same thing, especially since it obviously made me tired. Like I was thinking similar to two. I was like, I like this strategy, but for me personally, I don't know if I'd use it when I'm like actively looking after my baby, just because I wouldn't want to fall asleep.
Yes.
But I like the idea of using it as like kind of a bedtime strategy, just like ending your day like on like a peaceful note.
Yeah, and like you said, maybe not the mindfulness meditation you would use throughout the day, but maybe trying to be more mindful,
Yeah.
be more effective. You wouldn't fall asleep from.
Or if I do it standing up during the day, maybe.
Yeah.
At least if I fell asleep, hitting the floor would wake me up.
Yeah, I guess
Just kidding, I won't do that.
Good. I wouldn't want you to fall at you. Okay, yeah. Thank you all for sharing that. Okay. Did any other, how did the way in which I led the focused attention meditation influence your engagement throughout those 14 minutes?
I feel like since you were also doing it, I wasn't like, oh, are people watching me? Or like, if you were like walking around or something, I feel like I would have been like really aware of like, oh, is Diego over there,
Okay.
So I feel like you also participating made it feel like we were all kind of like sharing the time.
Yeah, so it was like less distracting.
Yeah.
Does anyone else feel that was kind of what they thought as well.
Yeah, I agree with Tara. And I like how you announced how long we had, like 40 minutes, and had set a timer on your phone, and then like does timer really walk us out from our meditation?
Yeah.
So that was really nice. Like we were aware of how long we had.
Mm-hmm.
I also like that you like allowed us to lay down if that was more comfortable, because it would have been, I feel like, hard to like sit up for that long because my posture is so
Okay.
bad.
As I'm
That
hunched
distracted
over.
me, for sure, I would have been like thinking about my posture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to be mindful. Your back is being broken. So yeah, thank you guys for sharing that with me. Did anyone feel differently? Did anyone feel maybe what I did was maybe detrimental to their engagement in meditation? Okay. So why do you guys think you had similar feelings about the way I lived it?
What you?
Might have just like resonated with all of us, I guess. And also like coming together and closer as a group, I feel like we've become like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That could be it. I just asked that question because I'm curious. I'm not trying to look for certain answers. Yeah.
It was terrible. Hi, Jack.
Yeah.
Any excuse from the baby is great, so.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed the activity.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question.
Just need a break.
Right. Some of you did talk a little bit about this, but what effect, if any, did the presence of other group members have on your ability to perform the focused attention meditation? Some of you did discuss this a little bit.
So definitely like being like self-aware like of what I'm doing in a space. Like, oh, am I breathing too loud, or am I fidgeting, distracting other people?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, and a few other people shared that too. Sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little self-conscious because other people, you guys thought that maybe on your own you wouldn't be so focused on what maybe you were appearing like to other people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's nice to know that other people felt the same. It makes
Yeah.
you feel better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you guys for sharing and being open and discussing your experiences and opinions about meditation. Because yes, people do feel the same way a lot of the time, or have at least similar opinions on some of the aspects of the activity. So yes, thank you guys for sharing. Okay. So we discussed how you guys felt and your experiences during the meditation, and we compared some people's opinions. For the majority, there was a consensus on how everyone felt. So now I want to talk about the meaning that you all may have attached to mindfulness and mindfulness meditation at this moment. So my first question is, what significance, if any, does the focused attention meditation activity or mindfulness have for you in the context of coping with stress as a young mother?
I feel like I felt like refreshed after, so if I was feeling really stressed or kind of overwhelmed, like we talked about earlier, if I took just like a few minutes to kind of like reset, I feel like I could kind of approach a situation a little bit more like clear-headed, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Tara. To build on that, I feel like whenever I'm stressed about one certain thing, this coping strategy will help me focus on that specific issue instead of like running through all the issues that I faced before and in the future. So that would help, that might be able to help me, to cope with that issue at the moment.
Yes.
Narrow down.
Yeah, so you feel like it would not only relax you, but you'd be able to focus maybe on one
Yeah.
problem that you're trying to address.
Mhm.
Thank you guys for sharing.
I would say a lot of my stress at the moment comes from like worry or self-doubt. So I liked the non-judgmental piece where I can like acknowledge that thought and then just sort of let it go instead of judging it. So I'll use that.
Yeah, I think I also like that about the mindfulness. You can allow thoughts to enter your mind, but not allowing yourself to judge them or to react to them is important. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with the group. You said you have any ideas about how mindfulness or meditation are meaningful to you now that you've done it?
Yeah, like, coming into this session, like me not being the biggest fan of mindfulness, because like, I'd like fall asleep. Yeah, or like I would just like get started like, oh, this is like a waste of time. But for some reason today it changed, and I think Athena kind of kind of nicely tied it together, and now I'm just kind of framing it as like mindfulness is like just letting your mind flow, being like water to just flow. So letting any thought come in, but just letting it run its course and just seeing where it lands. Yeah, see where it lands. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, like I said, that's what I like about it. You don't have to, resist thoughts that enter your mind, but just accept it and not be judgmental of it. Okay. My next question to you all is, how may mindfulness and the focused attention meditation activity influence the role of emotion-focused coping in your life as a mother?
You said how many?
I could reread the question.
Okay.
Yes. How may mindfulness
Okay.
and the focused attention meditation activity influence your roles? Influence the role of emotion-focused coping in your life?
Well, like being a mother, it's like you have to be there 110% at all times, and that means being nurturing. But if I can't be nurturing to myself, then I can't be nurturing to my baby. So in that case, like the mindfulness helps ground me in being nurturing to myself so that I can do that to care for others, which include my baby.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, like I feel like how I feel can impact my baby, because like whenever I feel stressed, my baby just keep crying, and when I feel happy, like she's happy. So if I can use the mindfulness and focus, relax, like strategy, like this strategy, I can like regulate my emotions, so it's not gonna negatively impact on my baby.
I think too, and Issa summarized it well for me too.
Okay.
I know some people spoke about using it as a bedtime routine, and I like that as well, but I think I also would benefit from doing it during the day because I can get quite like heightened emotions during the day, so I think bringing things back down for that piece would be good.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think that would be an effective strategy also. So what you're saying is you do think for each one of you, mindfulness, meditation, or mindfulness could play some sort of role to help cope with some stressors from an emotional perspective.
Yep.
I'm glad this activity is something that you guys could implement in your lives. And so, moving on, I kind of want to talk about implementing mindfulness meditation into your daily routine specifically. And so tying it all together, mindfulness meditation has been significant to you all in that it helped you relax. And Issa, I know you said, before you maybe were not resistant, but a little bit ambivalent about the activity today. After you said it was different, which I appreciate. And like I mentioned previously, you think that it can be effective to help cope as moms throughout your day. So, at what times in your day do you think implementing mindfulness meditation would be the most practical to cope with stress and anxiety? I know some of you mentioned before bed.
Yeah, bedtime for me.
Yeah, bedtime for me as well. And I think Athena brought up a really good point. Like whenever we experience emotionally peak, like at a peak, we can use the mindfulness to like calm ourselves down before we face the issue.
Yeah. Maybe this would be a better question then. Before or after what events in your lives do you think implementing mindfulness meditation would be the most practical to cope with stress?
I think one thing that brings a lot of stress for me is I like a lot of control, and it's really hard to you're not always going to be in control, and with parenting you can put so much time and effort in, and then you just don't really have control over the outcome in the end. So I think just like accepting that and letting that go will be, whenever I sort of see that thought process going, I can sort of acknowledge that and then use mindfulness to sort of like accept and release and like let go of that.
So yeah, using mindfulness to be okay, like to accept when things maybe cannot be in complete control. Yeah. I think that would be an effective way to use mindfulness. Thank you for sharing.
Definitely in times of like feeling overwhelmed. As just like my own experience, it's been really tough. Just trying to figure everything out, and also like figure out my own life as well. So in those times of being just like utter chaos, or like just not knowing what to do, back against the wall, just grounding myself in that moment so I can keep pushing forward.
Yeah, exactly. Just whenever you're a little bit too stressed and it's impacting you, you can use it to at least manage those symptoms. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Does anyone else have ideas of some events that they could use, or where they could use mindfulness before or after?
I feel like it would be more beneficial for me to use it after what happened, after the event.
Okay.
Because like normally I'm a very chill person. Even when my baby is out, I have a lot of support. So like, yeah, I feel like I'm pretty emotionally stable. Just when events happen, then I'm just out of control. So definitely after for me.
Yeah. I think I would use it after too, as kind of like a grounding technique so that it doesn't like spill into the rest of my day.
Good. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing. I honestly, like in my personal experience, I like to use it before sometimes. I also use it after, but sometimes I will do it before if I know that an event is probably going to elicit some anxious reactions from me. So, just from my personal experience, it could be useful either before or after. There's no set rule when you can use it, but it's been effective in both different before and after those types of events. Okay. And then one of the questions I asked before was pretty similar. How do you think implementing mindfulness meditation in your daily life can improve your role as a mother? And most of you said that being able to manage your emotions will help your baby to feel good as well. I don't remember who mentioned that, but you guys seem to all be in agreement with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how's everybody feeling right now?
Good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Well, thank you everyone for sharing all those experiences and opinions. And, you guys came up with some good ideas to implement mindfulness and mindfulness meditation in your lives as mothers, and how that would be beneficial in taking care of your babies, which I'm glad you guys were able to come up with those ideas. And so, congratulations. You've made it to the end of session 3. So to summarize, we've outlined what mindfulness is and mindfulness meditation. You guys are probably sick of me saying mindfulness 100 times. But, we discussed focused attention and open monitoring meditation, and how they can be used to cope with stress and other symptoms like anxiety. Then we engaged in focused attention meditation as the activity itself, focusing on our breathing, non-judgmental to the thoughts, emotions that come into our minds. And overall, there was a positive tone throughout the group, which I appreciate. You guys helped to really bring in that sort of positive mindset. It helped to keep the group relaxed. So I appreciate that from all of you. And now we're just wrapping up our session. So there are a few more things I'd like to complete before I send you guys off. One of them is feedback. So you guys have that Google form link from the previous session, which you can do if you don't want to share right now. But I will ask some questions to gather some feedback from you guys right now. So you guys are still comfortable in this position? Yeah? Okay. So, and not everyone has to answer these questions. One person can answer each, just to get some information on what you guys thought about the session. Okay, so would anyone like to share their favorite part of today's session?
I think my favorite part is to lie down.
Yeah,
And
me
then just like
too.
relax.
Yes.
Yeah.
My favorite part was right after we woke up because I felt so much better than,
Yeah.
than like during and before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you guys for sharing. Okay. What is something you learned that you didn't know before today's session?
Definitely mindfulness and meditation. Because
Yeah.
like we all mentioned that we've never done it before. So I guess this is a new experience for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the idea of like focusing on an object because I wouldn't have thought of that. I always think of meditation as like having your eyes closed.
Yeah.
So that was something cool to learn. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that you guys took at least one thing from today's session. That's good. Okay. What's something that you just liked in general? It doesn't have to be your favorite, just something that you would want to say the same if you were to do another session like this.
Putting down.
Okay, it seems to be pretty popular. Okay, anything else?
I like the opportunity to sort of like see how everyone's experience with it was because it made me feel better to know that other people had like a similar experience.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like it.
I feel
That
that.
relatedness is nice. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that. What's something that you would like to happen differently in our sessions?
Maybe the light dim down a little bit.
Yeah.
More relaxing.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really nice.
I think that's a good idea also. I
Yeah.
agree with that too.
Nature sounds.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
ocean waves or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see how, yeah, without music or sound, it could be a little awkward if you're kind of focusing just, or if it's hard to focus. That could be like one of the objects that you can use to do
Yeah.
the focused attention meditation. Okay. Are there any other thoughts or suggestions in general about session 3? Mindfulness for moms.
Maybe next time we can have mindfulness in like a room further away from the room where our babies are. I heard the baby cry and just woke up like
Modeling instinct.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yes. Okay.
A soundproof wall.
Yes.
Those are good ideas. Thank you for providing that feedback.
That's good. That's good. Okay. So looking forward, session 4 will be your next session, and you'll be focusing on time management and routine creation as a coping skill. And taking place on June 11, 2025. The same location, so TVAS library. Same time, 11 a.m., 12 p.m. And don't forget to consider using coping strategies together. And I know you learn about them in isolation, but you can combine multiple to get sort of the maximum benefit to help with managing stress and anxiety. So don't forget about the ones you learned previously. And don't forget about this one. Definitely a good one.